Hey, this is Steve from Third Eye Comics.
Hi, I'm Fabian Niciesa.
Hi, I'm Jim Starlin.
What's up? This is Kevin and Mike with the All-Star Comic-Con.
And you're watching Movers and Shakers.
You're watching Movers and Shakers.
Movers and Shakers.
Movers and Shakers
Unlimited. That's right.
Please welcome Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum. Woo!
Clark, how did you get in here, Clark? How did you get in here?
Lex, you have no security at this facility.
Clark, where are you going? I'm talking to you.
I gotta find Lana!
Don't you do this! Wherever. We were expecting a standing ovation, but it's fine.
Come on, guys.
Maybe we'll come back.
There we go. Thank you. Much better.
Thank you, Michael.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well,
Look,
thank you
Mom.
so much for being here on this Easter Sunday of AwesomeCon. So, happy Easter if you
Happy
celebrate.
Easter to everybody.
And happy April Fool's Day.
Oh, yeah.
So it's
is,
not
right?
Easter?
Not for you. Not for you.
Tom was there.
So, everybody here is very excited about Smallville, but I'm also excited about your full careers. So I wanted to ask a couple of questions about other things you're doing as well. You, Tom, are on Lucifer right now.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I know it can be interesting coming into a show that's already going. It's in the 3rd season, and you've come in with a new character. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think the original idea was on purpose. The Lucifer, at the end of season 2, if you guys watch it, they got a little comfortable with each other, and the whole idea was for Lieutenant Pierce to come in and shake everything up on many different levels. And so it was fun to be the disruptor for this season.
And I know there's a big reveal. I don't know how much
He told
you wanna...
me. He told me what happens. So in the final episode, he did tell me.
Yeah.
Was it interesting getting to play like a highly respected character and then have kind of a turn to that character?
Yeah, it was fun. It was very different than Clark. And initially, when I looked at the character, I thought, let's do something very different. Let's maybe try to figure out maybe what Lex would do with this character. And then I realized that was a bad idea. And then
You called up Michael and you were like, wait.
No, but it was fun to play a character who was a little more ahead of the game and making the moves, as opposed to a character like Clark, who was sort of a lot of times a step behind of what was going on, especially with what Lex was doing. So.
Cool. And Michael, now this is different than Smallville, but you played, obviously, Lex, very serious character some of the time, but in Breaking In, you played a
God, you
very
brought
different...
Breaking In.
I had to do it.
That was a fun character.
Has anyone seen that show?
Yes,
Because that's a crazy different character, and you
Well-
have a very good comedic, aspect. So please talk about that.
I like doing comedy and I like doing drama, but I was on Smallville for 7 years. So after it ended, I got all these dramatic offers for I was telling him for they did a Bones spinoff, and I go, nah,
That show didn't work.
Yeah. Well, I didn't. It was, it's long hours, it's dramatic, and I want to do some comedy. So my friend was doing a pilot, and he goes, "Hey, come and do this one role. It's 1 minute long. You're in the pilot." And I did it, and I dyed my hair red, and I wore Uggs and tight jeans, and got to really be silly. And then they offered me a 6-year deal for the show, and I was like, "No, I just don't. I don't want to dye my hair. First, it's bald, then it's dyeing your freaking hair." So I did a season of that, and then I went and directed my first film back in the day, which is, you can find it. It's a very raunchy, fun comedy with Morena Baccarin and Nick Swartzen. Big plug. But I like doing mixing it up. It's fun.
Yeah, and shout out to Indiana folks, because I went to Indiana University. So
Hoosiers,
hey,
she was
Hoosiers.
smarter than me. I couldn't get in. I went to Western Kentucky University. Great school, but didn't need a high GPA. Just didn't.
I let you speak to that. So, but Tom, you've also done some interesting work in film. For instance, Cheaper by the Dozen with Steve Martin.
Yes, very challenging role, very challenging role.
Do you have any good Steve Martin stories? Anything?
Yeah, one quick one. Michael had worked with Steve before, so I got the little heads up that Steve's a great guy and everything. And one day I was walking back from set, we were shooting on location, I heard someone playing a banjo, and I walked around one of the trailers, and there was a horse with its head over the fence, an inch away from a banjo, and I sort of followed the horse's head to the banjo and up, and there's Steve Martin playing a banjo with a horse that far away. And it was a very comedic moment. And when he finished, I said, when did you start playing the banjo? And he said, well, about 20 years ago, I thought if I started playing the banjo right now in 20 years, I might be good at it. So that's Steve Martin. So.
And the question is, was he? Was he good at it?
Yes, he's very good at it.
There you go.
He's very good at it.
I remember when I met him, he goes, I wasn't even paying attention. He goes, so tell me about this Smallville. And I was like, what? He goes, never seen it. And so I brought him a whole bunch back in the day when we did this movie. I brought him a whole bunch of VHS tapes of Smallville. And he signed my jerk poster. So that was cool.
And then when I worked with him, he goes, so you work with Rosenbaum, that guy. He was like,
He probably did.
Was he like, that guy, I hear he does a pretty good Christopher Walken.
yeah, right.
That's one thing on set. We would always, it's what got us through. Like even at the convention, it's fun, but it's nice to have my old cohort here, so because we're always laughing. We're holding each other with pictures, and he's rubbing my back, and I'm scratch, and we're trying not to laugh while we're doing it, but we're enjoying the moment. I mean, not sexually enjoying it, but we would always do all sorts of fun stuff on set, like dueling Christopher Walken's, dueling Keanu Reeves, in the scenes, and the directors are always like, "Come on, Welling, Rosenbaum, do the scene."
There are a couple good stories about that. One, I don't remember what the scene was, what we were talking about, but it was one of those moments where, Clark, kind of like we were joking about before, shows up in Lex's office out of nowhere, and, we get closer as we talk to each other, we're face to face, and I said a line, and Rosenbaum, who's, the camera's behind him, just looks at me, he goes, you should say that again. That wasn't good. Just say it again. And I remember going really? And he goes, yeah, just say it again. And I said it again, he goes, that was better. And then we continued.
We had little things, and as the series progressed, we'd have nonverbal gestures. Like if our take was just shit, we trusted each other. I'd go, Clark, how many times have I told you you can trust me? And he would look at me and go, or he'd give me a wink. Like that means you suck. Do it again. How many times have I told you you can trust me? Double wink, I mean, it was hilarious. The director's like, we got it. And Tom's like, no, we don't. And then we had Steve, our wardrobe guy. He was this, what would you say, eccentric gay man who would always be like, oh my God, you're gonna let that take go? You should definitely do another take.
Steve would sometimes say, you need to go again.
And the directors would get mad. They're like, who is he? He's the wardrobe guy. And he's like, I know better than you, trust me.
So the directors would think you had it, but you'd say, no, I don't think so. But you then got to direct a little bit. So Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. It was fun. And, obviously already knowing the cast and sort of getting a better sense of why sometimes the directors ask actors certain things, because it's not always about you as the actor. I learned that lesson pretty good. But when Michael directed, it was pretty funny because he was very excited. And we did this scene where Lana was leaving Clark for some time period, and the camera's on me, and Michael liked to sit behind the camera to be closer to the performance. And so as Kristen walked by the camera, and this is Michael's hand goes, and she's walking, and she's walking, and she's walking, and I'm like, is she getting taller? What are you doing? What are you doing?
The stairway to heaven is opening up.
Right.
She's going up.
That was funny. I remember one time I was directing, and Tom had directed a couple episodes, and I was directing an episode. Do you remember this? I told you this story. So, Allison, the dolly broke, lost a wheel, something happened. What a dolly is, you push it along with the camera. And Allison's belt broke, and I was behind on the scene. And Tom walks in there. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
You go, dude, what's going on? Come on, man, I want to get home, all right? What are we doing here? I go, and I thought he was serious. And I'm like, dude, Allison's belt broke, the dolly broke. What are you, Stanley Kubrick? Give me a break. And he goes, bro. I'm totally kidding, bro. Come on. What's wrong with you? I'm like, okay.
And then I got one more story. Sorry, I know you have questions, but
No, you go
Michael
ahead.
there was an episode, I don't know if you guys saw it, where Lex Luthor became president. And he comes in.
You are a dick.
And Michael comes in, and I don't know if I was directing or Glenn was, anyway, somebody was directing. And there's a podium.
Marshall
For Rosenbaum to stand behind. And we do the rehearsal, and Rosenbaum's like, I remember you being like, I don't need to say the fucking words, because I need to get out of here. So am I lit here? Cool. So then they set up the lights, and then we set up the lights, and 15 minutes later, the Rosenbaum comes in, and they're like, we're gonna shoot the first one. He's like, no problem. He gets up there, by the way, it's a 2-page monologue speech. And they go, ready? And you go, where are the teleprompters? And we were like, what? And he goes, I'm the fucking president, where are my teleprompters? And we were like, wait a minute, did you learn the dialogue? He goes, why would I learn the dialogue?
Presidents don't memorize, especially our president now. Right? Didn't you make me wear a toupee or like
Green, the green visual
the
effects.
green visual effects suit, just so you could see me hopping around like a stupid frog.
We convinced Michael we needed a green screen shot. We put him in a full green tight leotard, and you can only see his face. And we got what we needed.
Maybe
and
my
we were
package looked bigger.
We had a couple minutes, so we're like, this could be fun. So we asked Michael we're like, okay, and you're getting shorter, you're shorter in the cameras, and you're like, why am I doing this? And we're, now turn around. You go, why do I have to turn around? It's green.
No, not only that, but I'm hanging up on this thing in green on these wires, like this green, bald, ugly, whatever. That's what I was. And I look, and I could see Tom and the director and the other guys just laughing behind the camera. And I'm like, put me down! Put me down now! I'm done. I'm wrapped. I wrapped myself. I'm wrapped. Done for the day. And I did.
Yeah.
Dude, and we always joke, Tom, we said this yesterday, but if Tom was in a bad mood, because you work 14, 16 hours a day, every day for 7, 10 years, 10 months a year, sometimes you get a little, your mood's not great. You don't sleep, something happened, it's late, they're changing scenes around, you're stressed.
Yeah, poor
whatever.
us.
But shit happens. Sorry for the shit, young man. But, things happen, and Tom would come in, and you could just tell, Tom, you always had that look on your face, that the lip would close, like that welling look, are we ready? We ready to do this? And if I came in and I was in a bad mood, everything would be just perfect for him. He would see that I was upset and go, and you would start laughing.
Because in my head, I'm like, this lucky guy, what's he so mad about? But I was doing the same thing. That's you can't occupy the same anger level at the same point.
And I would mock yell. Like I wasn't really yelling, but I'm like, what are you looking at? I gotta be up at 4 a.m. so they could shave my head, cut me at least 3 times. I gotta put 3 layers of makeup on my head so I'm a freak.
Where are the teleprompters?
Where's the teleprompter?
See, you guys thought he was acting as Lex, but he was just that angry all the time because of the makeup.
I mean, my God. Happy Easter.
Oh, man. It's like, I had questions, but now I just want to hang out backstage with you guys during Smallville, because this is ridiculous.
We can do this all day.
What's funny is we do, but I want to hear it, but they're going to have questions, aren't they?
They are going to have questions, yeah.
Do you
Now,
like that? I like when they have questions.
I do want to give a couple of quick shout-outs to some other things Michael has done, because he's making all these, references to not enjoying things sexually, but he does something. There you go. See? There you go. Speaking of inside of you,
Yes.
Michael's
you.
podcast, that sounds kind of a little bit like an innuendo, but how did you start doing that? I want to hear about that.
I would never do it.
You were on it for like an hour and a half.
We got 500,000 hits. Listens with him. Yeah, people loved listening to us talk and reminisce and he was always telling me dude, you should interview people. You always have things for me. Throughout the 7 years, you'd always say, dude, you should be doing this. He was my agent, and he was like, you have a knack for that. So people were telling me, so I said, what the hell? Why not do a podcast? And then I started to really like it because it became therapy for me. And I realized it became therapy for the audience because I was asking questions to celebrities and athletes and all these people, real stories and about their anxiety. Kristen Bell was just on. She talks about her depression and things like, and it was just really cool hearing real, these people like sort of be vulnerable. And so now it's kind of taken off, and we're doing Justin Hartley and Henry Winkler, the Fonz was on, and just tons of people. So check it out on iTunes. It's called Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum. I think you'll really dig it. It's fun. It's free.
I did see the one with these two, and it was a lot of fun. So yeah.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah. So now I got a couple more quick questions before we open it up. One is, and my boyfriend would kill me if I didn't say, he's a huge fan of Draft Day because he's from Cleveland.
Oh, right on. Thanks.
So what was it like?
Movie.
Yeah, it's a fun movie, and Man of Steel connection. What was it like working with Kevin Costner?
That was pretty cool. I kind of did the movie because I wanted to meet Kevin Costner.
Nice.
And then we got to work together. He was very kind, and I think I messed up my first take of dialogue, and I was really pissed. I'm really mad at myself because I look like an idiot. And he came over to me, he goes, "Don't worry, just don't be mad at me when I mess up my lines." And that just really helped me sort of just calm down. And I think we got some good stuff. That's a movie that actually, when it's on, I watch it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I like that movie.
Yeah, I do too. You know what's funny is I don't know how other actors feel, but you and I think they're the same like that. When we're working with our idols sometimes, when I was working with Stallone, how could I not be starstruck? This is a guy who was Rambo and Rocky, and I'm sitting here thinking, I can't even think of my line, I'm just thinking, I gotta get him to sign my Rambo lunchbox. That's all I'm thinking. And he's like, "Hey, how you doing? What's going on? What are the dots on your face for?" I'm like, "Oh, it's CGI." He's like, "You look like Pippi Longstocking with the dots all over." I'm like, "All right, well, nice to meet you, Sly." And I did this thing called the gay spider, where Sly's hand's on the counter, and I just put your hand right here. And I would just go, "Beep, beep." And he goes, "Hey, what is that?" I go, "Oh, it's the gay spider." He goes "Yeah, all right. Well, hey, keep your hands to yourself, all right?" I swear to God,
great.
It was awesome. Yeah,
oh man,
That's what
great.
Michael does when he's starstruck.
Oh well, now Michael, you've worked with one of my idols, Andrea Romano, doing The Flash.
Yeah.
So
you don't know who that is. He's like,
epic voice director and casting. Yeah, retired now. So
I've heard of The Flash.
You sure? Yeah,
You do the voice for that?
I do the voice for The Flash for years.
Oh, congratulations.
please tell us about it. Yeah, please tell us what that's like.
I'll introduce you to Andrea. You should do some animation. It's brilliant.
I'd love it.
People love animation. And that series was just phenomenal. I mean, again, it's like we talk about Smallville, how the quality is so important. And in that show, it looked great, and the characters were all great, and they let Flash be funny, add humor to it, and she's the most wonderful director there is, really.
She's a great talent. So we're gonna roll over to Smallville now. I got a question for you. Mm-hmm. I love the red kryptonite Clark. I feel like you got to stretch your acting in a different way.
Sexy.
How did you enjoy that? What was it like being a different kind of Clark?
That was probably just closer to who I am as a person.
Well.
No, it was fun to sort of act out some of that rage and sort of hostility, I think, that was probably always in Clark anyway. But, he just hadn't really gotten there yet to express it. But, yeah, it was fun. It's always fun to do something different. I mean, I think one of the worst things we did was, well, not that we did on the show, but watching you be Zod flying through the air. That was probably one of the worst things
Why
I've
do you
ever
have to
seen.
bring up all these things? This is like therapy for me. I'm bringing it up.
Bro, they brought him
Do you
on these
remember?
wires one day outside, and he comes from
What was I wearing?
He's wearing a long trench coat, and
They made it for me. It's like, I think I still have it.
he's trying to be all serious, and he's very unbalanced. He had to stay very sort of on these wires from like 40 feet, and all of a sudden he gets about 10 feet off the air, and his body just starts to turn like this, and we're all the wrong way, and he goes, "What am I doing? Why am I turning?"
Imagine me floating, and I'm like trying to be serious as I'm coming to Tom. I'm just like, what's going on? What's going on here? This isn't cool.
Yeah.
I never felt cool, ever.
Well, it's strange when you're playing these characters where then they show these alter egos of these characters.
And what was my first line when I landed? How did we know? We laughed every take. We almost didn't get the scene. Finally. Neil to Zod. You remember yeah.
I remember just going, no, I can't watch this. Like,
I could see him. That's what made me laugh. I could see him going. On my close-up, I'm like going, powerful Zod, and you're like. He's like, you look like such an idiot. I'm like, fuck.
it looked a lot better on the show.
You know,
When she-
it
Talk
came
about it on the
off
podcast.
very imposing on the show, and you
Yeah.
were an imposing character most of the time. But I do want to ask, there were a few times when you got to be a little softer Lex or a nicer Lex. Did you ever wish for an actual redemption for him on the show, or more of that?
You know, I just felt like it was 7 years of a character, right? You can't just become evil right away. And the backstory with the father, the overbearing father, and living in a castle and losing his hair in a meteor shower, and his mother dying, and his brother dying, and all these things, and his best friend lying to him. That's why I became evil. Your fault.
It's true!
There was a beat there where Lex and Lana got together, and I felt like Lex was trying to get a little redemption through that
And
relationship.
he did.
Just a little redemption.
You know what, though? I mean, those episodes...
Inside of you. No.
Those episodes like Lexmas and episodes where you could see like this character, this was this life he could have had. And that's what the tragic thing is he really wanted to have a normal life, but he couldn't. Like, he fought everything. They always say like 50% of you is genetic, and you can't really change, but the other stuff you can change. And so I felt like he was changing all that other stuff in his genes and his DNA. It was just something, and everybody kept screwing him over. So it was kind of a tragic story. But I mean, I like being nice and sweet better than being in a freaking straitjacket.
Yes.
See, my gosh, dude. I mean, I went nuts. Imagine being in a straitjacket all day for weeks and weeks, and just this, the music at the end of that episode with like Johnny Cash. It's like my eyes are all black. I'm just like, I was turning into that guy.
Again, you thought he was acting, but it was just the wardrobe.
Yeah.
I started to freak out.
But that was really impressive, and I have to say, it was the lying and also having to have a dad with that hair that probably made you evil.
Yeah, and he'd always.
Glover's got great hair.
Amazing hair.
And by the way, this is a great thing. What John Glover taught Tom and I is how to touch someone. This was the weirdest thing for me as an actor, because I trained and I did all those things, but John Glover taught me something real. Come over here. What's your name again?
Emily.
Emily. Come here, Emily. Well, don't fall.
These carrots.
But so, like, normally in a scene, you would say, Emily, I'm going to tell you one more time, okay?
Yes.
And then something bad's going to happen. So try to listen. Right? That's what I'm saying. But John would walk in and he'd be like, Emily? Listen to what I'm telling you. Something. You know what I mean? He would touch us. And at first I was like, what are you doing?
I sincerely hope lots of people are filming this.
But I loved it. And then I started doing it. Emily, come here for a second, please. And I started doing this season like 4. And the guest star would come and I go, what have I told you about this? And the director would go, Michael, that's just weird. That doesn't work. You don't touch the guest star. I'm like, why not? John does it. He's like, yeah, well, you're his son. It's just, this is weirder than that.
See, if I do that, I'm going to get booed off stage. So,
No.
like Michael, and they'll be like, you're never allowed to moderate again. I'm sorry.
You can touch me.
I think there was one time probably where you were going through this phase where we had a Lex Clark thing and you walked up and put your hand on my shoulder and I was like, what are you doing? I was like, what are you doing?
I'm trying new stuff, man.
I'm like, are you acting? Like, what are you doing?
But that does bring me to my next point, which is we're going to have some audience questions.
Yeah.
No touching the guests, no throwing things at the guests, no asking for autographs or photographs. You can see them downstairs on the floor for that. No happy birthdays. Keep your questions precise and quick.
Yeah,
but
please don't throw anything.
Please don't. It happened.
Can't see anything up here.
It happened. Yeah, oh yeah. It was funny, but it was not so good for me. So who has a question out here? Do we have a
We're lined up.
Oh, wherever you are, just go with one of you. There
You don't
you go.
have to yell. We're lined up!
This side first. I'm pointing to you right there. Go ahead.
All right, first I just want to finish my thought. Because of you, Tom, and your portrayal of Clark, I went out, got a dog, and named him Clark Kent, and I adore him, so thank you.
I'm so happy I could help.
So,
She's allowed to touch him.
all right, so, yes. So I'm rewatching Smallville, and my question is for Tom. something I noticed is that with Lana, it seems like Clark's abilities always get in the way. It seems like he's always scared that he's gonna hurt her both emotionally and physically. But then when he gets with Lois, he embraces it like all the way through. So what do you think has changed in the character that allows for that?
I think it was a certain matter of just maturity. I think we've all gone through those awkward situations early in life where you're not really sure how to handle a relationship and on many different levels. And as you get to know yourself a little bit more and maybe what your wants and desires are, and even more importantly sometimes what you don't want, I think that allows you a sense of wisdom where you can then relate to someone in a different manner that is more, I don't know, more not emotional, but more just a real connection. And I think that you kind of found a more mature connection with Lois and Clark.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey
That's
guys.
What did I say?
Sounded right. Sounded clear.
Hey guys. So I just wanted to thank you guys real quick
there
for
you go.
being so fun and cool in the photo ops. And I'm a firm believer that Lex could have had a less ruthless ending if he had gotten a few more hugs in his life. So if you guys could create your own Smallville alternate universe like the one we saw on the show, what would that setting look like? And what would you change about your characters, how they grew up and evolved, and how they turned out in the end? Preferably with a non-villainous happy ending, but if you want to break my heart again, like, that's up to you.
You got
I'm just picturing this whole thing.
I
where,
feel like I'm in high school again. I don't know the answer. For some reason, just a sea of bald people. Everyone's bald. Everyone's in bathing suits. We're all embracing the sun. We're getting tan as white bald men.
I'll get that later.
And life is good. Go ahead, answer that, Tom.
Yeah, the whole alternate universe thing is so, I think it's a Pandora's box, because if you start to believe that there's one, then there's more than you can count. So I think there's different versions. I think in some ways flashbacks, or like when characters hit their heads and they go into some sort of dreamlike state, you get to explore some of those things in a lot of different ways. But I don't know, I mean, who knows, maybe an alternate universe of Smallville nobody would like. So I think let's just keep it the way it is.
My neck looks really good in this. Look over there, I'm looking at that.
Oh, that one?
Your alternate universe would just be a mirror,
I don't know.
so you could just look at yourself.
I'm sure you can see it later on YouTube too. So
Yeah, blame it on Dayquil.
over here, please.
Thank you.
Hi, you guys.
Hi.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the finale, and Michael, thank you for coming back for that. I think that was something we were all waiting for.
That was cool. Yeah.
No, sorry, real quick, that was a big thing because he didn't have to. That was very much Michael doing that. It was really strange though, because when he showed up to set, he hadn't been there a few years, and we're like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "It's the finale." We're like,
The finale. You made me laugh. It's a finale.
It's a finale. It's a serious finale. Where's my lines? Give us a minute. No, it's not true.
I'm telling you though, I came on and I have a big head, right? And they gave me a ball cap. I go, look, here's my demands. I got to come back for the fans. Seriously, I wanted to do it for the fans because that's it.
Yeah.
I didn't want people to say, why didn't you ever come back? And I wanted to do it. It was a nice ending, a bookend. And so I came on set, so they had to put this thing up. So my head was even bigger. So the bald cap, I go, you guys got to light me here. I look like a cone head. I look like Dan Aykroyd. So, but it was really weird. I was nervous again because I hadn't done Lex for 3 years, and I came back and I had to do this, and I was like, I feel weird. Am I doing this right? But we did it. You helped me get back into it.
You jumped right back in.
I remember the first take. Do you remember the giant crane in the Luther mansion, and it's just all
destroyed.
It's all destroyed, and it comes down on me to open it, and I go, "Fuck! What's the line?" And I go, "Rosenbaum's back." Sorry for the F-bomb, man. I didn't mean it. Didn't mean it. I usually don't do that. I usually say F, but not the whole word.
Sorry, you had a question.
You pretty much covered all the questions I had about the finale, so thank you.
All right. Over here.
Hello, Lieutenant Pierce. I have to ask you a very serious question. This is for fan fiction purposes. On a scale from 1 to 10, how good of a kisser is Tom Ellis?
You mean compared to Rosenbaum in the pilot?
Yeah, I remember I gave him CPR.
Oh, yeah.
So that was actually the first one.
He had soft, supple lips. And most importantly, fresh, minty breath.
Oh, he's so
we had a good time with that, Tom and I, because we were both like, we kind of, I mean, if you can imagine, you read that, you know, you're gonna make out with, and we both kind of like, yeah, I guess we'll just do it. Like, we'll just.
You
let's just
kissed.
do it.
I didn't see that
Well,
one.
he kissed me.
On the lips?
Yeah.
With tongue?
No.
Was that written?
No, but we agreed upon it.
Tongue?
We agreed not to have tongue.
Okay.
Yeah.
This
And
is going to be
oddly
great
enough,
for your fan fiction.
Oddly enough, we both felt like we had to clarify with each other, like, so dude, you know, that scene the other day, he's like, oh yeah, it's gonna be interesting, you know, that's horrible accident. But then we just talked about it and we're like, all right, I go, how about this? How about I just kind of look away when I turn back, you just get it over with. And he's like, yeah, that's what Lucifer would do. And so it worked out perfect. We had a lot of fun shooting that episode.
I bet you did.
Thank you.
And we had a director who was like, we just need one more. And that was like his joke, kind of like you were saying earlier. And so after about 3 or 4 takes, Tom and I were just like, you're done. That's it. We're done.
Jason Isaacs, I did this movie called Sweet November, and I was a transvestite.
Yeah.
The one person that saw it, thank you.
I saw it.
But anyway, we had a scene they shot the scene at the end, and Jason Isaacs, he's a great actor, and he just goes, I think we should make out. And I go, it's not written. Do they have new sides that they passed out? Because I didn't read that. He goes, no, I think it would be it's a nice ending, and women would like to sit in the background, and we think we should really do it. And like, but remember, I just got to act like, you know, I'm an actor. I'm like, yeah, we can. So I really didn't know what was going to happen. I thought making out, normally when you make out with a woman, young man, or you make out with anyone, you start out with some tender kisses, some slow mwah.
And the fanfic writes itself.
And you work your way into it. You don't just go, or you won't have another date. Just mwah, and then So that's what I assume.
I don't know how she's keeping
How
up
are
with
you doing this?
This is hilarious.
So and Action and Charlize and Keanu or whatever, they're hanging out, and Jason, we hold hands, and he goes in, and he just goes right for the and I was like, and they cut the scene, thankfully, because I bet if it looked as awkward as it felt, it was just, I mean, I tried, but you just got to go in easy. You know what I mean?
I mean, you shouldn't say they cut it, because more people would have gone out and watched that movie now. They'd be like, wait, we missed that scene.
I think more are definitely going to go see it now.
Maybe you could see us kiss in the background. I don't remember.
Right?
I think they cut it. I really watch it so I get my 3 cents residual check.
All right, I think we're over here.
Thank you.
Evening, Mr. Kent and Mr. Luthor. Your show hosts, with its success, spawned more comic book shows like the Arrowverse on CW, ABC's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the Marvel Netflix shows, and
Flash, Arrow, Krypton, Gotham.
Yes, and
Supergirl.
I was about to mention Gotham on Fox. With DC announced that they're going to have their own streaming service, like with Titans, Young Justice Season 3, and the Harley Quinn animated series. Do you think there could be a chance for Smallville to return as a streaming service series for Season 11 or an animated movie?
I mean, animated could be fun.
I swear to God, I brought that up to Al, at the creator of Smallville. I said we should do an animated Smallville.
I mean, because they're doing comic books. I've just been seeing them this weekend. I guess the series continues. I don't know.
Could you imagine? I mean, that would be huge. Smallville, the animated series, with all our real voices, and all the guest stars that played certain guest stars. Bring them in, and it'd just be cool.
And are you going to introduce Batman in it?
Yeah, I don't have to shave my head. We gotta do that. That would be so easy and fun. Can you imagine how some mics doing the same dialogue and laughing and just having fun? We're doing it.
That would be epic.
And we don't have to look at each other.
Yeah, we don't have to look at each other.
I gotta tell you guys, we got time for 2 more questions.
No way,
one over
man.
here,
This
one
is
over
good.
here.
This is a relief. I like this.
But I gotta.
Can we go
people
longer?
are telling me, so.
You like this fun?
Yeah.
You guys.
What do you mean no?
It's up to
Corey
them.
Hart over here with the sunglasses at night.
I'm gonna have to bring down the hammer. We got one more over here and one more over here. So
Tom,
go ahead. Go ahead
What
over
was
there.
it like working for the late great Christopher Reeve, Tom?
I'm sorry?
What was it like working for the late great Christopher Reeve?
Oh, it was great. He was a really fantastic person. We talked a little bit about how his experience in the first Superman, and about how they would kind of like Michael, they would put him on wires and kind of he'd be bouncing off the walls because they didn't know how exactly Superman flew. And he was he had seen Smallville, thought we were doing a great job, and he was really just a fantastic person.
Thank you. One more, last question. Make it good.
In light of this week, Scooby Natural dropping, like the crossover, there was a joke script, I guess, passed around with a supernatural fandom of the Curse of the Supermen, with basically Sam and Dean have to save you, Tom Welling, from like this mysterious curse targeting all the actors who played Superman. I just wondered if you had any further reflections on that episode. And go.
I don't know that exists, but how would they save me?
There you go.
I love those guys. No, I don't. That's the first I've heard of it. But those are great guys. We both know Justin and Jared very well. They've been doing a great job on their show.
Jared asked me to come up and do an episode of Supernatural.
Oh, how'd that go?
Well, he emailed me. I go, hey, get on my podcast. He says, why don't you come up here and do an episode of Supernatural, and I'll do it. And I go, let's have a conversation.
All right.
Hey, before we go, can we get a picture with us this way, everybody in the background? Can we turn the lights on? The back lights off, directing here.
You want to be in the middle?
No, I'm good. So you guys are in the back.